Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we'll have the pranams mantra, and then we'll get into discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishram Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapt Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanushite Devi Parnamami Hari Bhuye Vanchkalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuvya Evasya Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanto Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So hope it has been a good learning so far. That's the intent of this course, to make sure that we are getting our concepts clear on some of the subject. And as we go along chapter by chapter, I'm hoping that it will help us understand the key points from Bhagavad Gita. So we are in chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. And we went through verse number 14. So today I'm going to start from there. So we talked about why this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge, because it's talking about Ananya Bhakti, pure, unalloyed devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So from verse number 11 to 25, Krishna is talking about different types of worshippers of Lord Krishna. And then the last few verses from 26 to 34, Ananya Bhakti, pure, unalloyed devotional service is glorified. So that's the basically segment we have to go over today. So in verse number 14, Krishna is talking about pure devotee, and he's saying that they are constantly engaged chanting my glorification, and they are making endeavor with determination. And these great souls basically are the pure devotees, the Mahatmas. So after talking about Mahatmas, not everybody is Mahatma. Not everybody is doing the pure devotional service. There are few souls who are not on the path of pure bhakti. So we are going to talk about some of them, who they are and what they are doing. So verse number 15 talks about three kinds of jnani who worships Krishna by cultivating knowledge. So they are basically in Jnana Yoga. And this verse gives the name of those three personalities. And they are Ekatvena, Prithakvena, and Vishwato Mukham. So this verse says that Jnana yajnena chapi anya yajanto mam upasate ekatvena prithakvena bahudha vishwato mukham. So ekatvena, as the word implies, one who worship in oneness, thinking themselves as God. Aham Brahmasmi, Shivasmi Aham. There are so many Aham, Aham, Aham. So they worship Supreme Lord, thinking themselves as God Himself, and that is mentioned more in detail, in extensive details, in chapter 12, verse number 1 to 5. And then we have Prithakvena, who concocts on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they worship Him in diversity. Prithakvena, in diversity, considering many forms of the Supreme Lord, such as demigods, thinking that Shandev, Munnadev, like no, Vayu, Agni, all of these demigods are basically different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Vishwato Mukham, one who worships Supreme Personality of Godhead in His universal form. And some of the description of that is given here in this chapter from verse number 16 to 19. And then, as you all know, there is a chapter dedicated, chapter number 11, where we'll hear more about those type of personality who are worshipping Krishna as Vishwarupa. So as I'm mentioning here, that from verse number 16 to 19, we are going to talk about those personalities who are worshipping Krishna in His universal form. So Krishna is the various elements of all sacrifices. And you can see the list there: Kratu, Yajna, Shwadha, Aushadham, Mantraha, Ajyam, Agni, Hutam. All of that is mentioned there. And especially Krishna there in that verse saying that I am Kratu, I am Yajna, I am Shwadha, I am Aushadham, I am Mantraha, Agyam, Agni, and Hutam. Then verse number 17 to 19, the all-pervading feature and ultimate shelter and cause of all the causes. So Krishna is mentioned there that there are personalities who are approaching Him as all-pervading, personality, all-pervading, which is super soul understanding of the Supreme Lord. And then you can see series of, so verse number 17, 18, and 19, those three verses, one after another, talks about that aspect. So I am the father of the whole universe. I am the mother, the maintainer, and the grandsire, Mata, Dhata, Pitamaha. I am object of knowledge, the purifier's level, Om. I am also Rig, the Sham, and the Yajurveda. I am the goal, sustainer, the master and witness. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Shakshi. This Bharta is one of the feature of super soul. So that will come in 13th chapter. So I am the goal, and Bharta means sustainer. I am the goal, sustainer, the master and witness. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Shakshi. I am the abode, the shelter, and the dearest friend. I am the creation, destruction, and maintenance of all. I am resting place, eternal seed, bracket, indestructible cause. So you can see that 4 rows have different color. So I just to make it different, just to differentiate it, I have used different color so that you can track that the color of the four rows are basically coming from the one verse, and then the next verse, and then the last verse, verse number 19. I'm heat and I cause rain. I withhold and send forth that rain. I am immortality and I am also dead. Krishna is saying that I am dead. Amartam chaiva mrituscha. I am immortality. I am amritam. Amritam. And I am mrityu also. Shad ashat, shad ashat chaham Arjuna. And I am both spirit and matter. Shad and ashat. So that's what we see in that segment of the verse. Then in next verse, from 20 to 25, Krishna is going to talk about those personalities who are worshipping him into his prithak upasana, in his diverse form. And those are mostly demigod worshippers. I'll just read the translation. The knower of the three Vedas, drinking the soma juice, purified of sins, worship me indirectly through sacrifices, praying to enter heaven, attaining piety. They enter the heaven and enjoy celestial delights. So these are demigod worshipper, and they do sacrifices and worship Krishna to purify from the sin and finally to attain the heavenly planet. And as a result of their worship and sacrifice and prayer, they do attain the heavenly planet. But what happens after that? They come back by enjoying the heavenly sense pleasures. The results of their pious acts get exhausted and they return to this material planet again. Chine punya punne martaya lokam vishanti. Chine punya martaya lokam vishanti. So chine means getting consumed. So the pious act. So one thing that we can learn here, that they do sacrifice. They take the penances to attain the heavenly planet, but their sacrifice and penances are accumulated as their pious deed. So that's the point to be noted. It's not considered bhakti. It's considered pious deed. And that's why I highlighted that segment there. Chine punya martyalokam vishanti. The punya that they have accumulated is like bank account, putting the money into the account. Once you have overconsumed, if you have consumed what you had deposited in your account, then you have no more balance to be used. So that's what exactly is the concept with the demigod worshipper, that once their piety is consumed, then they fall back. But pure bhakti, so from that segment, so 25th verse was basically part of the previous discussion. So from here, we'll see that Krishna is now going to share how one can do pure bhakti. Let me see if I miss any slide. Yeah, I think I skipped that slide. Okay, so I should be talking about 22. So Krishna gives complete protection to his pure devotee. So we just heard that the demigod worshipper, they go to heavenly planet and they stay there as long as their pious activity, their pious results that they have accumulated is consumed. And once that is consumed, then they fall back and they come to the material world. But right after that, Krishna is saying, but for the Ananya Bhakta, that's not the case. And this is a very beautiful verse that comes right after there, where Krishna is saying, Yogam Chemam Bahami Ham. No, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on me, desiring my association, Krishna's association, to them I supply what they lack, and I preserve what they have, So whatever they have, Krishna will preserve it, and he will supply what devotee is lagging. Thus, I personally take the responsibility to carry the burden of their maintenance, and in the bracket, their spiritual and material welfare. So this is a very powerful verse, and I'm sure that most of you might have heard about it, and I'm sure many classes are on that verse particularly. Krishna is giving here guarantee that a person who has taken the process of bhakti, that person is under the full protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yoga basically refers here the approach, the dedication, the submission that pure devotee has for Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Chemam refers here how Krishna is merciful towards his devotee. So Yogam, Chemam words basically set up a very good reciprocation between Lord and his devotee. And not only, this is another beautiful point here. And I don't want to take too much time there, but in the bracket you saw it's mentioned that both spiritual and material welfare. And there are many classes given, even if somebody wants to be materially successful, even if they don't have desire to come to the platform of pure devotee, they should still take the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because once we are engaged in bhakti, and we saw the different types of bhakti, yoga, guni bhuta bhakti, pradhan bhuta bhakti, and ananya bhakti, whatever mode of bhakti one has, Krishna is basically reciprocating with that person, and that person is getting shelter of the Supreme Lord, and that person is getting opportunity to slowly come to the advanced stage of bhakti. So this particular verse, and this is basically the chapter also, and here Krishna is giving a powerful secret that even if one has desire, material desire, still that person should come to him. And that verse is coming right after verse number 20 and 21, where the destination of the demigods worshipper are given, and then what's their ultimate result? It's temporary, it's not permanent. So they go there and they fall back. But one who has taken the pure devotional service, they are being protected by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then verse number 23 says that the one who is worshipping demigod, they are basically worshipping Krishna, but they are worshipping in wrong way. Wow, they are worshipping Krishna in wrong way. Those who are devotees of others' gods, gods means demigods here, and who worship them with faith, actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Yajanti avidhi purvakam. Avidhi purvakam. Avidhi means wrong. It's not vidhi. They are not doing as per the vidhi, Vedhanic process coming from the Shastra, but they are doing a Vedanic process, a vidhi purvakam. So they are worshipping indirectly Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Hare, but that worship is Krishna saying avidhi purvak. It's not badhi purvakam, it's avidhi purvakam. So that's why I highlighted that particular statement, that worshipping demigods are basically indirect and it's avidhi purvak. All acts are, verse number 24, all acts are meant for satisfying Krishna. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. We have heard similar statement before also. And also the giver of all results through the demigods. So I am the enjoyer and master of all the sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. And what is the meaning of your fall down? The meaning of fall down here is basically getting caught into the cycle of repeated birth and death. That's what exactly meant here by fall down. So I'm the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. So even Krishna is the master and sole goal of all the sacrifices. Still, not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows that. And then they basically get engaged into different process. And we'll see what are those people and what are varieties of people and what their destinations are in the few verses. But if they are not following the process of bhakti and they are not aware with the transcendental nature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will fall down. So as you can see that putting everything together in a written format definitely makes a lot of impact. You have things side by side that you can see at once and you can draw the conclusion. So very nicely here we can see that how through some of the verses that we are just going through, how nicely Krishna has established pure bhakti as the supermost goal. So that's why this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. Avidhi purvakam, the right way of, and then in the purport, I'm just going to highlight a few points. The right way of growing a plant is by watering its root. Most of you know that. And not the leaves and branches. So doing anything else is basically putting water on leaves and branches. But the right way to grow a plant is to pour water at the root. It's illegal to bribe a government representative without following the rules of the government. It happens. I don't know. I mean, it might be happening in America also. Ram Kishore Prabhu can confirm that. But in India, we have seen that how things are happening nowadays. Then nothing happens without bribing. So it's illegal to bribe the government representative without following the rules. So worshipping the demigod is the wrong way of worshipping Krishna, avidhi purvakam. And thus they return to take birth in this material world. So that fall down that we are talking about punarapi janamam, punarapi marnam, coming to the cycle of repeated birth and death. Okay. So now, as we talked in the previous verse, in 25, we are going to see that what are the destinations of different types of worshipper. Yajanti Deva Vrata Devan, those who worship demigod go to demigod planets. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Pitrin Yanti Pitra Vartaha, those who worships ancestor go to ancestor planet. Bhutani Anti Bhutejaya, and those Bhuta is Sanskrit word for the ghost. So those who worship ghost will take birth among ghosts. But the point that we have to focus here, Yanti Mad Yagnopi mam. Yajnopi mam. Yanti mad yajnopi mam. Those who worship me will come to me. In bracket, I mention no rebirth. So now you can see a very, nice way the destination of all types of worshipper. Ekant Vena, Prithak Vena, or worshipper of the Vishwa Rupa, or demigod worshipper, and all of these ghost and ancestor worshipper, they all are basically caught into the circle, and they are just rotating. But Krishna is saying, those who will worship me will come to me. So this is definitely very confidential knowledge, no doubt about it. The thing is that we have heard it so many times, and we have been in the institution for some time. So these things might not be making as deeper impression on our consciousness as it should be, but these are secrets. They are secrets of the success. Krishna clearly saying, bhakti, strongly, bhakti is established as, again, a supermost. But I don't know why other school of thoughts, when they come and read Bhagavad Gita, why they take different meaning. One of the scholar, he was telling that Bhagavad Gita, each verse has infinite many meanings, and he was telling that he himself can at least give 8 to 10 meanings of the each verse, because that's how the Sanskrit word is, and that's how the meaning of the each word, such as vidya and avidya, could have so many meanings depending on the context, and depending how it's being spoken, and depending how it's been presented. So there are infinite many meanings of these verses, and that's what the concoctor and the speculator and so-called Gyani does. They churn things, they turn things apart to make it something that suits their purpose. But when we hear the commentary of pure devotee, they say things that going to serve, that's going to inspire conditioned soul to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why Bhagavad Gita, as it is the only book that one should read. If somebody wants to read the commentary on Bhagavad Gita as it is, because it's written, it's compiled, it's the commentary is given by supermost powerful devotee, and also commentary and compilation of the other previous acharyas. So we can see here that how meaning of Krishna's talking to Arjuna is so sublime, and how it's very easily being digestible to us. Somebody who have the scholar, who are scholars in Sanskrit, can confuse, and not very easy way, not in very refined and concise way, give us the essence of these verses. But when we read the commentary and translation by His Divine Grace, we can very easily come to the conclusion through these verses that pure devotee and their commentary is what we had to go through and we had to read. So I made a note there that our destination depends on the choices that we make in our lives, for sure. So that's our free will. Free will, goodwill, and evil. Free will, goodwill, and evil. Evil. So if free will is not being used in right perspective, then it becomes evil. Evil, E-V-I-L, that's what I'm saying. So, and if it's being used based upon the teaching of Guru, Shastra and Sadhu, then it becomes God will. It becomes the will that Krishna has for conditioned soul. So this independence, a minute, a infinitesimal independence that living being has, that could become very, very detrimental if it's not guided by the instructions of Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. So that's what basically we are hearing here, that our destination depends on the choices that we make in our life. And then after that, Krishna is now going to further establish the exclusive worship of himself. What the destination of the devotee who are exclusively worshipping Supreme Lord. And then that's another beautiful, famous verse, star verse. I'm not going to read that. I'm sure all of you are very familiar. As soon as we come into Krishna consciousness, this is the verse that gives us the foundation that we should be always eating the offered prasadam. So Krishna is saying that if an unmotivated devotee offers me with love and devotion, patram pushpam phalam toyam, or a flower with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I accept that loving offering from that genuine devotee in pure consciousness. So, in the commentary, in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning that in this particular verse, the Bhakti word is used twice. So, Krishna is Atmaram, and he really doesn't need patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam from anybody for his satisfaction. But if one offers these items with love and devotion, then Krishna accepts it. So that's from where bhakti starts, that we start consuming the food that is offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then after that, starting from the food, now Krishna is saying that everything now, everything that is being done, it should be done as an offering to Krishna. And that's another beautiful verse, that we had to remember. Yat karosi yad asnasi yad jihosi dadasiyat yat tapasasya kontaya tat kurosha tat krushva mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, O son of Kunti, tat krushva mad arpanam, krushava, you do, you karo, krushva, karo, tat krushva mad arpanam, do that as an offering to me. So after this, there are very beautiful concepts that we use on day-to-day conversation. And you will see when devotees are giving class, these words are being used. So there are some beautiful concepts here. So I just added some extra point to make it clear. So one thing that needs to be clear up front, that here Krishna is not talking about Ananya Bhakti. So this verse sounds pretty good. Yat karosi yad asnasi yad jihosi dadasiyat yat tapasasya kauntaya tat krushva mad arpanam sounds pretty good. But still, it doesn't give the definition of pure bhakti. So that's what first we have to notice. But the predominant component that we get out of this verse, of course, is bhakti. So this verse, it's basically, the essence of this verse is higher than Karma Mishra Bhakti or Gyan Mishra Bhakti. Okay, so we had Guni Bhuta Bhakti, Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti, and Ananya Bhakti. Okay, so this verse, a devotee who is following this instruction is higher than Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti. That's what I'm trying to say here. By Karma Mishra Bhakti and Gyan Mishra Bhakti, it's superior. So the essence of this verse is higher than Karma Mishra Bhakti and Gyan Mishra Bhakti. But it's not pure bhakti somewhere there. And why? That's the reason given there. Because you do whatever you want to do and you offer it to Krishna. Okay? So and that applies very much to our life. Some of us are engineers, some of us are doctors, some of us are, IT professionals, some of, us are mothers. I mean, so many things we are doing. I don't exactly remember all of our professions, but those professions are our choice. And we are doing it. We are doing it because we want to do it. And then the fruits that comes out of our profession, we harvest and we do it as an offering to Supreme Lord. But still, we have our own choices. And just to make our things more authentic and bona fide, we are using it in the purpose of Krishna consciousness. So that's what this verse is saying. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are eating, whatever you are offering, or whatever sacrifices you are doing, you do that as a offering to me. So there is no basically definition here that okay, you cannot do this or you can do this, right? There is no do's and don'ts. You do whatever you want to do whatever based upon your nature, but you basically offer it to Krishna. So that's one point. The second point is that what makes the activity. So in pure bhakti also, there are some activity, right? That's what it is. Devotional service. Prabhupada emphasized service more than devotion. He said, act for Krishna. And if you continue acting, then over the time, devotion will come. So we are in the devotional service. So what happens in devotional service is that Saranam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, the 9 limbs of the bhakti that is given. So a devotee knows what has to be done to please Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he does that particular action for his pleasure. Is it clear, the distinction? So one side, you have the whole horizon and multiple options. You can do whatever you want to do. But just to purify it, you offer it to Krishna. But on the other hand, you do only prescribed activity that Krishna has recommended. And then you do it for the pleasure of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what's happening is that here, that Supreme Personality of Godhead is coming, but he's coming after action. Okay, so that doesn't make it pure bhakti. But when action is happening for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that makes it pure bhakti. Okay, so there is a very fine difference here, and that's the beauty of these courses. When we do together, we understand some of this very fine thing in very refined way. So that's the fine line there. This verse also appears.
Hey, how's it going?
Hare Krishna, I'm hearing some noise.
How's the weather out there?
Very sad to hear. Yeah, weather outside is good.
This verse, kindly mute yourself, please.
Okay, buddy.
Just we can take this back. That's
Okay.
it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So that's what I'm trying to explain, that this particular verse sounds very close to pure bhakti, but it's not pure bhakti. It's very powerful. It's somewhere between pure bhakti and pradhan bhuta bhakti, which is very high, very high. And then we go to verse number 28, where another beautiful concept of yukt vairagya is mentioned there. Shubha shubha phalaya evam mokshase karma bandhanah sannyas yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upashasi. You will be free from bondage of karma, bondage to karma, and it auspicious and inauspicious results. Subham, Ashubham, Falair, auspicious and inauspicious results. Then, with your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and you will come to me. So what's the criteria given there? Sannyas Yoga Yuktatma. Now, in the previous chapter, we were talking about sannyasa philosophy. And what is sannyasa? We also had a question about Mayavadi sannyasa and devotee sannyasa. But sannyasa, the real, sannyasa is either it's Mayavadi sannyas or it's devotee sannyasi, Vaishnava sannyasi. There is some degree of renouncement. They are renouncing. There is, some extent of renouncement. And yoga is basically, connecting. Yoga is basically adhering to some principles, right? So how this sannyasa and yoga will work together, and that is the philosophy of Yukta Vairagya. So all of us, what's one thing that as a grihastha we are supposed to follow? This sannyas yoga, which is in concise way called Yukta Vairagya, means having the possession of the things of the material world, at the same time having the understanding of detachment, or having detachment with the things of the material world that you possesses. And Amrish Maharaj is a perfect example of Vairagya. When Durvasa Muni saw Amrish Maharaj, he thought that he is grihastha, he's caught into the Maya illusion of the samsaric world, of the material world. But from his heart, from his bhav, he was, pure devotee. So doesn't matter how much we possesses. That's really not, meaningful. It's not hindrance in our devotional service. The problem that happens, how much we are attached with the possession that we possesses. So that's what basically this verse is teaching. That sannyas yoga, yukta vairagya, means you be yukta. You have the possession, but that possession is with vairagya, samsiddhi haritoshnam. Whatever it is for pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is another beautiful concept of Yukta Vairagya coming from this particular verse, which means having the possession, but having the possession with Vairagya. So you can see this chapter is very beautiful chapter, very powerful chapter. How nicely it's giving us some tools to practice to come towards pure devotional service. So proceeding to the next verse, Krishna is equal to all, but especially inclined to the devotee. He is impartially partial. And you can find a lot of article on that particular topic. Back to Godhead magazine. Also, if you go to krishna.com, you will find some articles written by some of our devotees that how Krishna is impartially partial. He is impartial, but still he is partial with his devotee. I'm equally disposed to all living beings. I'm equally disposed to all living beings. I envy to one, nor am I partial to anyone. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Such a beautiful. Bhagavan Sri Hare ki jai. I am equally disposed to all living beings. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion, is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Last night, I was hearing some of the offering to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And all the devotees in Govardhaniko village and Chopati, all the brahmacharis and some of the senior devotees, they were doing their offering. And they were talking about quality of my Guru Maharaj, quality of a pure devotee. And one thing that very prominently came out of all the discussion and all the offering that I was hearing is that if you have love for Krishna, you love everybody. You love everybody. There is no way that you can hate anything, anywhere, based upon, caste, creed, distinction, whatever distinction you see. If we have love for Lord Sri Hari, we have love for everybody. And that was the quality everybody was. As I was trying to connect the thread from one speaker to other speaker to other speaker, the thread that came consistently was, if you love Krishna, you love everybody. And then the second point that came was service. How to serve everybody. When all of you here are fortunate soul, you have gotten the opportunity to practice Krishna bhakti. So, aspiring devotee can take that as an opportunity, and by serving the devotee who are in front of us, in love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can make their life perfect. And that perfection I was hearing consistently when I was hearing the offering given by each and every devotee. And here we are seeing, what Krishna is saying. I'm going to read it once again for you. I am equally disposed to all living beings. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Krishna is saying that slowly and slowly you will get, my bhava. You will come to the stage where that's the basically, a goal of the devotion. By purifications, when the soul is purified, soul slowly and slowly regains its forgotten stage, forgotten identity, and then slowly and slowly it regains the quality. And when we say that we are qualitatively same as Krishna, but quantitatively we are a drop of water in a big ocean. So that quality is here. That quality is here. So that is why when we are advancing in our process of our devotional service, this quality should come. Today we had a very beautiful discussion about modes of material nature. And in fourth canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 30, verse number 18, Krishna is saying that unless and until you don't cross over the modes of material nature, you are not ready to come to the stage of taking the bhakti, pure bhakti. It's not possible to come to the stage of pure bhakti without transcending these three modes. And then in the purport, Prabhupada is writing very beautifully that devotees should every day, every moment, every minute should do introspection, that where I stand and how soon I can transcend this mode to come to the platform of bhakti, Shuddha Sattva. So the reason I brought that concept here, because that's what we are talking. This chapter is talking about pure bhakti, how one can come to the pure bhakti. And we saw some very fine definition of Yukta Vairagya, some fine definition of how something may appear like a pure devotion, but it is not pure devotion until it meets certain criteria. So these are some of the guidelines and standard that one can use to guide their personal life to proceed fast on the process of bhakti. So continuing on this same theme, Krishna is reciprocal. Lord Krishna is just like a cloud that rains everywhere equally, whether on the rock or land or water. but for his devotee, he gives a specific attention. This is not discrimination, but it is natural. So Lord Krishna is just like a cloud that rains everywhere equally, on rock, on land, and on water. What's the distinction? On rock, water falls, but there is no impact. Rock cannot, retain the water. If there is some, surface undulation, maybe there will be some water staying on the, here and there. But nature, as the nature of the rock is, it's not going to retain any water. For ocean, for rivers, falling of the rain is basically adding additional height of the water. It's still water. Water is water. It's just, coming up on height. But when it falls on the land will absorb that water, will retain that water, and then will grow the plant, and then plants will basically flourish. The similar concept is coming in Bhagavatam Canto 1 also. Sukadeva Goswami is talking, Sutta Goswami is basically talking to the sages of Naimisharanya, that, the seed, where it falls, determines what's the destination of that seed is. If it's falling on the rock, it will die. If it falls on the barren land, there is no destination of that seed. But that seed, when it falls on a fertile land, then see the potential of that seed. It becomes a huge tree. And then it gives so many seeds like that. So devotee is like that land. When we are trying to be devotee of Krishna, we are like that land. And when we say we are like that land, we are retaining, we are absorbing, and we are fructifying it. We are giving the fruits of it, not for the benefit of ourselves, but for the benefit of others. So that may appear very simple statement, but I don't see as a simple statement. So we have to be like that land. We'll absorb the mercy of the devotee, mercy of Krishna, retain it, absorb it, and then fructify it and give it for the benefit of others. So verse number 30 and 31, Krishna excuses and purifies the imperfect devotee. So Krishna is saying that, I help the devotee, I retain what they have, and I provide what they lack. So here in last two verses, in next two verses, Krishna is talking about that how he excuses the devotee. And there is another important point made here. Why he excuses, we'll go through that. So this is again, these two verses are very famous verse, powerful verse. Even if one commits the most abominable action, api chetasu duracharo, if he is engaged in devotional service to please me, bhajante mam ananya bhak, I consider him saintly devotee, sadhur evasya mantavya, because he is properly fixed in his determination on me. Then the next verse talks about Sipram Bhavati Dharmatma. He quickly becomes righteous, devoid of contamination. Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Shashwat Shantim Negachati, and attains everlasting peace. Kantya Pratijanihi, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly, Name Bhaktya Panashyati, that my devotee never perishes. So, Apichetasu Duracharo, if one is engaged in the process of bhakti, then there is chance of some accidental fall. There is chance of some accidental fault. So Krishna is saying here in this verse that even a person who is situated in the process of bhakti, if that person has an accidental fault, he should be still seen as a saintly person because he is engaged in my devotion. And at due course of time, I will purify and I will bring him to the standard in a loose world. Also, another beautiful point here that is being made, that living beings, the soul, we have Swabhava. And the Swabhava is basically coming birth after birth, birth after birth, birth after birth, birth after birth. We don't remember, how many lives, we have seen, what are the, factors and cause we had for our previous death. So some fear, some attachments. So these are some inherent, Swabhava, right? So if there are some accidental fault, and there are some fault happening because of the inherent quality that person has retained. Please note these 2 points. Not intentionally fault. It's not being talked here about the fault that we do intentionally by going and hitting somebody or killing somebody or doing some intentional apradha. That's not the point here. Apradha, that is accident, and something, for example, you always drive very fast. You always drive over the speed. So your mind is tuned to drive over the speed. So it may happen that you are trying to restraining yourself. I'm not trying to do over speed, but my mind is so tuned. Whenever I get off of my mind, I start driving over speed. So that type of thing, where something has become your inherent nature, but you are restraining to go against that nature, then that type of fall down, if it happens in the life of a devotee, Krishna forgives that type of offense. And then this is the last slide. So people who have the pious background or they have good background, both of them are qualified. Both of them are qualified to receive the mercy of Krishna. O son of Partha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower or sinful birth, women, merchants, and workers, everyone can attain the supreme destination. Yeah. So it's for everybody. Bhakti is for everybody. There is no distinction here. Where is distinction here? It's for everybody, Krishna is saying. Everybody will attain that firm destination. Such a kind Father. The process of bhakti and the association of Krishna devotee is so powerful that it can purify an impure person coming even from the sinful backgrounds. So it doesn't matter. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Mrigadi hunter, there is a story of that. Mrigadi hunter, he was half killing, and he became so saintly that he would not even take a step without watching, is there any ant walking on the ground? Ajamila, he was devotee, he became, sense enjoyer, and he was protected by Krishna. So does that matter who that personality is? Krishna is saying that they will become, qualified, and they will be empowered to perform pure devotion. What we speak about the qualified people? Even sinful person can do pure bhakti. Then how much more this is for those people who are pious, who are of the Brahminical quality. Although they are fallen down in this miserable world, they are fallen down into this material world, and they are going through the suffering of this material world. But if they are pious people, for them it's easy, they will come to me. And then here is the final verse of this chapter, conclusive essence. And this one again is very beautiful. I don't have a star here. This is a star verse. Man manabha madbhakto madhyaji manamaskru mameshashi yuktaivam atmanam mat prayanaha. I don't know, when I'm giving the lecture here, some of my Sanskrit pronunciation doesn't come because my mind is going on so many things. Man manabha madbhakto madhyaji manamaskru mameshashi yuktaivam atmanam mat prayanaha. So man mana bhav madbhakto, always think of me, madbhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji ma namaskru, madhyaji, worship me, namaskru, and offer obeisances to me. Mam yavasyashi yuktaivam, he will surely come to me, Atmanam mat parayanaha, having absorbed yourself completely in me and taking my shelter. So that's the basically key verse from this chapter. And this is also in Shastra, we use the word falasruti. So falasruti is basically the phala, the result that we get of our activity, right? So this is also, sometimes we use the word paribhasha sutra, a verse that gives the definition of a particular sutra. Okay, so this particular verse can be called as falasruti versa, or it can be also called out as Paribhasa Sutra. This is one of the Paribhasa Sutra. The verse number 1866 is the principal Paribhasa Sutra of the Bhagavad Gita, but this is also one of the Paribhasa Sutra verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Means a very, very eminent and essential verse for us to know. So just following up, bhakti is like river Ganges. It does not consider who is suitable or who is unsuitable, right? Whoever goes and take bathing in Mother Ganges, they get purified. Destroying all sins by its very touch, pure bhakti is alone considered to be the king of all secrets. Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam, king of all the secret is the bhakti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse is the most important instructions of the Gita and is considered the essence of Gita. While concluding this teaching, Krishna will again repeat this verse in 18th chapter, verse number 65. So thank you so much for your due attention and your association. I hope with that we are done with chapter 9. I would like to basically pause the recording. Just 1 minute, I don't know what's going on.